Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here. This will be a guide on how to do the Gnomeregan pet battle dungeon. Even if you don't like pet battles, doing this dungeon at least once will unlock an account-wide portal that takes you right to the Gnomeregan dungeon entrance in Dun Morogh. This is awesome for Horde players. For all you non-collectors, this guide will use tradable pets when possible so that you could just resell the pets when you're done with them. I'll go over what pets I use for each fight, as well as walking you through the movesets in real time. Alright, let's get right into it. First, you'll want to pick up the quest from your Borealis or Desaralor trainer. You can find it next to Manapoof, the pet dungeon portal NPC, at these locations on screen. Then, head to the Gnomeregan dungeon entrance in Dun Morogh and speak to this NPC to get started. For our first fight, we have the prototype Anoyotron. Great name. For our first pet, we're going to be using the Rotten Little Helper at 2, 2, and 2. Then the Father Winter's Helper at 2, 1, and 1. And the Winter's Little Helper at 2, 1, and 1. Now you're going to want all three of these pets. You should only need the first two, but this guy likes to be a pain once in a while if you mess up in the rotation, so you're going to want that third one. Start with a number 2, and then we're going to pass, because he will not take damage right now. Then we're going to use a number 3 to get a blizzard going. And then use number 1. And use 1 again. This guy does a lot of damage, so be prepared for that. Pass again, because he is about to, yep, bubble, there it is. Gotta know the timing on this one. Try to get off a number 2. There we go. And he's probably going to kill your little guy here. Yep. So now you gotta pull out your second pet. And use number 2. Because you still have a previous ability active. Don't want to use it over it. And finish him off with number 1. He's not dead though, he comes back. So just keep using your 1 until he does that, and then we're going to use number 3. Now you can either pass or use number 1 here. I used number 2 instead, because I wanted to try to get him out, got a little desperate here. There we go. That guy can be a real pain if you don't do that right, so. For our second fight, we have the Living Sludge. Tasty. Now for these pets, we're going to use Scooter the Snail. He's so cute. At 2, 1, and 1. And then we're going to use the Blazing Cinder Collar at 2, 1, and 2. And any elemental pet of your choice in the third slot. I like the Autumn Sproutling because he hits hard with abilities 1, 2, and 2. So here we go. Alright, let's start off with a number 2. Get a poison going on him. I don't know how you can poison something that is poison, but whatever. We're going to use a number 3. So we can try to dodge his nasty attacks. Nice. Got a good hit on him. And then use number 1 to hit him good and try to get a little bit of health back. Nom nom. Tasty. And then use a number 2 to get that back on him. Alright, number 2 again, since it wasn't entirely needed on the first one. There we go. Now use your number 1. Since it's your only ability you can use right now anyways. Keep getting some health back if you can help it. Do a number 3. You're dead anyways. That's okay. Now for the Cinder Crawler. I went with a number 2 here. A Brittle Webbing, because that causes them to take damage every time they attack for 3 rounds. Then use number 1. Get some flamethrower going. Now the flamethrower will burn not just him, but the ground. So even though he's dead, it'll affect the next pet. Use a number 3 on yourself there for a heal. Throw a brittle webbing number 2 out again. And then go for a number 1, a flamethrower. Again. And just like previous dungeons, the backline pets for the rest of this dungeon are random. So you just try to pick the best you can and hope it works out. Like, see, this guy kind of took out my crawler there, but that's okay. That's why I have the Sproutling. And he burned to death anyway, so it doesn't even matter. I hit him anyways because I felt like it. Not needed, though. You can use a bit of Leech Seed if you want. Get a little bit of heal back. Not that it matters too much at this point, so fight's over. For our third fight, we've got the Living Napalm. That sounds kind of dangerous. For the first pet, we're going to be using Amethyst Soft Shell with 1, 1, and 1. Then we're going to have the Phoenix Hatchling at 1, 2, and 2, and the Fetid Waveling at 2, 2, and 2. You can choose pretty much anything for your third pet, as long as it's elemental. There's a lot of mechanicals in this dungeon, so I'm going to start off with the number 2, and then go to the number 3, so we can dodge and hit him hard. Smack. Very nice. Now we're going to use number 1 a couple times. Just once, actually, because we're going to need to reapply our number 2 after this one. Just in case. Here's our number 2. And now we're going to go with number 1 again. Goodbye, Napalm. And Cockroach. Gonna go for a number 3 on him so we can dodge his Apocalypse. Multiple pets in this dungeon will try to use Apocalypse, so as soon as they come out, the cockroaches specifically are very fond of that. So if you use Dive or Dodge or whatever that will dodge/block an ability, if you see a cockroach, that will prevent Apocalypse from happening, which will ultimately destroy you in 15 turns. So we don't need that. We don't need that. It's either 15 or 20. It's been a while since I've used Apocalypse. I'm going to pull out our Phoenix Hatchling and use number 1 since he destroyed our poor snail. And then throw in a number 2. He's a little weak to this guy, unfortunately, but that's alright. We're still getting him. Throw in number 3. And there we go. Dead cockroach. Can you really kill a cockroach? We may never know. Use number 2 on this guy. And a number 1. This guy is weak to us, so that's no harm, no foul. Jokes. Bad jokes. Because actually there's a lot of harm and a lot of foul. But that is a almost dead bird because he'll come back for an extra round since he's mechanical. So use number 1 again. And he's done. That is all done. For fight number 4, we've got the Living Permafrost. That also sounds very dangerous. For our first pet, we're going to use Tongue Lasher. Cute little toady with 2, 1, and 2. A golden Dragonhawk Hatchling at 1, 2, and 2. And a pet of your choice for number 3. I went with the golden hatchling. Wild golden hatchling, that is. So, number 2, we're going to keep our toxic skin up. That's going to be very important here. This guy's going to put a debuff on us that will just hurt himself back. Use number 3. Number 3 again. See, that toxic skin is doing its job. Those stacking debuffs on us are hurting him back in return. I mean, they're hurting us too, but they'll continue to do that so long as your Tongue Lasher lives, which probably won't be for much longer. All right, do a number 3. Try to take this guy out, but he stunned us. That's okay. The debuff is doing some work for us. Now we can use number 3. We gotta refresh first. So number 2. My bad. You know, weak attempt to keep that permafrost going. Look at all that. It's just passively hitting him. It's pretty funny. And goodbye, little toady. That's okay. Let's bring out our Dragonhawk. And we're going to number 2 him. Sounds a little funny when you put it that way. And we'll use a number 3 to get rid of his second life. Beautiful. Use number 3 again. Get that flamethrower on this jerk. We're going to see the automated drilling machine a few times throughout this dungeon because since he's random, but I got him a lot, and he's probably the worst of the backline pets, honestly. He hurts. See, he took out my poor Dragonhawk. He's a meanie. This is why your third pet is important. Use whatever you have to take out this guy. In this case, I have Call Lightning, so I used a number 2. And then I'm going to use a number 1 on him to try to take him out. But, of course, he's dodging. Another reason why I don't like that backline pet. He shows up a lot for me. And he can make it a little close sometimes. That's why I like dragons. They have that anti-one-shot ability. Regardless, we did it. For fight number 5, we have the door control console, which has these 3 jerks right here. Now we're going to use some more complicated pets because these guys suck. So, Sid the Squid, we're going to use 2, 1, and 2. The Octopode Fry with 1, 1, and 2. And the Plump Jelly with 1, 1, and 2. Now there are some subs that you could use for them, but those are the specific ones I have had success with. We're going to start off with a number 2, a bubble, so we can dodge a couple attacks. And use Cleansing Rain, because we're going to get rid of that icky fire. Firestorm, whatever, that he tried to put down. I'm still burning from his flamethrower, but that's okay. So now we're going to be using 1. This is Tidal Wave, a cleave ability that I had talked about in the previous dungeon episode. Cleave abilities are nice once in a while when the backline pets are just awful. And in this particular instance, they are. All 3 of them are mini bosses, and they are just not fun. So keep using your number 1 as much as you can to get as many hits as possible on them. The less health they have, the better. He's just gonna keep turning you into calamari in the meantime, so my poor little Sid the Squid. That's okay. We did some good damage. Octopode Fry is up. And now this little boy is going to use a Squeeze, our number 3. It'll slow him down a little bit too, which is to our advantage. Use number 1 for a good tentacle slap. Don't rejoice yet, the backline pets suck. So here we go. It's them all over again. Use a number 2 to get to heal on yourself. And number 1. Keep slapping him. Yep, that ability is going to hurt in 2 turns. Yep, there we go. He's done. Use Squeeze again, since that is off cooldown. You want to get that on him. But yep, that's going to take you out. Oof. Alright, you can use Squeeze again, because this guy has it too. That's why we double up on that here. And then use Tentacle Slap. And luckily these aren't machines, so they don't come back. And that is a harder fight than you realize. Good job. For our fight number 6, we have a cockroach. Big ol' stinky cockroach. So I'm going to use a different group than normal, and the little bad wolf with 1-2-1, Lumpy with 1-2-1, and a grinder with 1-2-1. And you will likely want at least the first two, but as always, make sure that third one is a good, strong backline pet. Immediately use number 2 for a dodge, because there's that apocalypse I warned you about. Dodged that one. We don't want that. Use number 3 for a howl. And number 1 to get some claws on him. This is why I went with a beast pet. Because Critter is weak to beast, and he has Stampede or whatever that is, which increases damage done to you, and we don't need to take any more damage than possible. So, use number 2 when that is off cooldown, so we can dodge at least a few of his hits. Use number 3 again. Not that it's really needed, but that's okay. I wanted to be sure. And number 1. And he's down. And there's that drilling machine again. Ugh. I am switching to my Lumpy. Take out this jerk. Start with number 2. I want to hit number 3. These things do a lot of damage. And they dodge a lot. Blech. Number 1. But that's why I use number 3. That way it still gets the dot on him. Keep using your number 1 until your number 3 is off cooldown. You can keep using 1 if you want as well, but I was a little irritated with this guy. Keep using 3. And that's off cooldown now. And he misses again, but that's okay. And he's finally out of here. And this one isn't so bad. He's a pain too, but use number 2 for this guy. The mechanical pets in this dungeon really like their elemental effect. Fire and ice, and so it makes it a little difficult sometimes. So we gotta be smart about your pets. Keep using your number 1. Your number 3 is damaging. Blech. Took out my poor Lumpy. Alright, this is why we wanted Grinder. And for our 7th fight, we have a leper rat. Yuck. Don't touch that one. We're going to use Trag the Curious with 1, 1, and 2. A blue Dragonhawk hatchling with 1, 2, and 2. And a red Dragonhawk hatchling at 1, 2, and 2. Now you can use different pets for your 2nd and 3rd, but I get mechanical ones a lot as opposed to cockroaches and things. So I tend to stick with the elemental because the mechanical ones hurt more. So we're going to use the number 2 first. Not first. Last. We're going to save that one because that is a heal. We're going to use number 3 first. And then we're going to lick them to death. Lick, lick, lick. So fierce. Now the number 2 ability is a self-heal that you probably should use at some point, but I just wanted to keep licking him. I should have used it here, is when I should have used it, but I did not. I was not being very smart about that. So when the rat is on his undead turn, use your heal. Use your number 2. Not that it matters too much, because this drilling machine is gonna just destroy your frog. Oh, there we go. Ouch. And this is why we want the Dragonhawk hatchlings. Go for number 2 after number 3. Number 3 and then number 2. I'm sorry, I'm getting my 2s and 3s mixed up. How impolite of me. I pass because he's dodging. That's what all that sandy smoke means. And now we'll use number 2 because it does more damage. Using those in the proper order for once. There we go. Yes. Hate that thing. Alright, go for a number 3. Burn this guy. Keep using your number 3. That's all you got right now, and your number 1 won't help you much. Number 3 again. Ooh, he might take out my Dragon Hawk. These guys hurt. The dungeons get progressively harder, I'm sure you're noticing here, if you've been watching the previous episodes. So, ooh, close. Nice. And we both died. But I still have another pet, so that means I won. Ha! For our fight number 8, we have a bloated leper rat. Really gross. We're going to use a Leviathan hatchling with a 2, 1, and 1, a juvenile brine shell with a 2, 1, and 1, and an inky at 1, 1, and 1. This guy is nasty if you think about what his name means. Ugh. Start with a number 2, get our toxic skin up, and do a number 3 for a whirlpool. And then use number 1. Keep using your number 1. Keep an eye on your toxic skin. Go ahead and refresh that when it's at 1. You want to keep doing damage to him. Get a whirlpool in if you can, but it doesn't look like I was able to, so that's okay. Bring out your brine shell. Put up his toxic skin so he can keep hurting himself. And use whirlpool on this one. And now we're going to pinch. Pinchy, pinchy, pinchy. Pinch is nice because it increases its damage every time it's used. Not as great as some of the other abilities of like use, but it still does the job. This guy comes back for a round because he's undead. So you can pass, or you can use toxic skin, or whatever. You've basically won by this point, so long as you have an extra pet. For our 9th fight, we've got the Gnomeregan Guard Wolf, which I just think is cute. Now we're going for a full moth team this time for fun. We might recognize that from our first dungeon, the Wailing Caverns. Now we're going to use the Cocoon Strike Moth Dust and Aerial Strike abilities, the 1, 1, and 2 that you've seen in previous episodes. So you should be familiar with this. So we start with a number 3. Do a number 2. And then do a, not aerial strike, my bad, that's slicing wind. I get those mixed up, they look similar. And by similar, I mean nothing like each other. That is just me. Use your number 3 again. 3, 2, 1, 1. Same rotation. Guard Wolf comes back for another round. Trying to heal, but we're not gonna let him. Block that attack, and he's down. Now we just gotta clean up the other 2, and looks like we got fairly easy pets this time. So just keep doing that same rotation. 3, 2, 1, 1. It's okay if you lose a moth. That's why you have 3 of them. It can be 3 of the same, 3 different ones, and of course you don't have to use the tradable ones. I just like using the tradable ones to make this easier for people who don't want to go collect things. They can just borrow a friend's or buy them and resell them or something. So keep using that same rotation of 3, 2, 1, 1 until you win this fight. Pretty simple. I like simple like that. Sometimes I feel like spicing it up and getting a little complicated, but not this time. Not this time. Keep using your number 1. And then your number 3. Your number 3 is your strongest move, which is called Moth Dust. How powerful is Moth Dust? I mean, let's kind of think about that for a second here. The Azeroth moths really got some evil dust on their wings. Sheesh. And that fight is done. As soon as this leper rat just gives up the ghost here. Come on, get out of here, you're gross. Can't you see nobody loves you? There we go. Now it's over. For our 10th fight, we have the Gnomeregan Guard Mechanostrider. That's kind of cute. It's like a little mount. We're going to use the Teldrassil Sproutling for 2/1/1, a tiny shell spider at 1/2/2, and a moth of your choice at 1/1/2. Same abilities you've seen on that one before. So, here we go. Alright. So we're going to use our Thorns, which is number 2. We're going to keep a Photosynthesis, which is number 3, active. And then use a number 1 as the filler. So keep the 2 and 3 on your priority, and then use your number 1 as your filler. This will keep you alive, keep him poisoned, and everything will be great. See, look at that. Look at that retaliation from those thorns. Use a number 1, number 2. Yep, see your buffs up there. There's getting down there, so you need to refresh them. 2 and then 3. Healies. And then number 1. There's probably faster ways to do this fight, but I just like to be sure, especially when you're in a challenge mode. When that guy gets all dusty like that, just like before, you can pass since he's going to dodge your abilities. But just keep doing your rotation. You can also swap to a different pet like the shell spider. You could probably take out the drilling machine faster. Which I think is what I decided to do here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take out the shell spider. Tired of dealing with a stupid drilling machine. So let's just burn him. Expendable pet. Burn, burn, burn. Ah, he's dodging again. Darn it. Burn, burn, burn. Burn. Back for another round. Burn him. There we go. Hate that guy. And we'll just leave the shell spider out because he's super effective against the rocket chicken too. You really think about the idea of a rocket chicken, it's pretty humorous. Just keep using your number 1 on this thing. Burn it before it can let that rocket off. Get out of here, chicken. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Good job. And for fight 11, we have the Gnomeregan Guard Tiger. We can just use the Teldrassil Sproutling and the Tiny Shell Spider again in the 1st and 3rd slots. But this time I'm going to put the Soul of the Forge in slot 2 with 2, 1, and 1. We'll use him more instead of the shell spider. But the Teldrassil Sproutling will do just fine. And the reason I don't use moths on these is because these last two fights hit a lot harder. Which will take out your moths, so. At least in my experience they do. So just like before, keep your 2 and 3 buffs active and then use your 1 as a filler. So. This guy here is a jerk, and he will feign death and make one of the other ones come out, which makes it a little annoying. So go ahead and swap to your Soul of the Forge. It's the one I chose. I didn't know what I was gonna get. I expected a drill machine, but I didn't get one this time, which is kind of nice, but at the same time I'm not prepared for the undead pets. So just use your shield, which is number 2, and then use number 3 to get a burn going. And smash it with a hammer with number 1, which doesn't actually look like a hammer when you use it. Use number 1 again. Now he's gonna come back for another round. I went ahead and used number 3 again because that burn is going to stay for the next pet, since it's a ground burn instead of a burn directly on the pet. And I knew I was gonna die, so. Alright, back to the Teldrassil Sproutling. Now hit him again. You don't have to be as strict with your rotation because he is going to feign death again. He'll come back. And he's a real chicken. See, he's gonna dodge your hit there. Yep. And bring out the poor spider tank. What a chicken. Bah. Let's go back to the Sproutling. Don't want to deal with that. Since we're getting down there on pets, let's throw number 3 up for a shield. And use number 1 then, instead of just burning. Don't want to get myself into a pickle. Never want to get too cocky. Keep using 1. I believe I used a number 2 in there as well to poison him, just to be sure. There we go. Almost got him. Yep. That's a nice thing about that shield, that number 3. I blocked those last few attacks. And he's gonna try to dodge you again, but there's no more pets to pull out, so you're done, Tiger. You are donezo. Very nice. And for our final fight, the 12th one, because this was a long dungeon, we're going to use Little Bling, which is 2/2/1, Storm Wraith at 1/2/1, and Gust of Seclaris at 1/1/1. You are going to want all 3 of these. Very likely all 3. At least the first 2, but you're going to want all 3. You can use different pets for the second and third so long as they have a lightning shield ability, because that's going to be your main concern. So we're going to make this guy kill himself. So start off with Inflation to get a debuff on him. He'll swap you to Seclaris and throw up your shield. If he swaps you to the other pet, that's fine. Immediately throw up your lightning shield. Because now he's going to just hurt himself. Look at that. He'll come back a couple times. It's kind of funny. Stop hurting yourself. Beautiful. Now just use whatever other moves you have, depending on the pet that you chose. As long as you keep your lightning shield up, you are in good business. Yeah, and we're done. That was the shortest fight in history. Congratulations. You've completed the dungeon. And there we have it. You have completed the Gnomeregan Pet Dungeon. If that was your first time, now you have a portal directly to Gnomeregan, which is really nice for Horde players. Really nice. Because it's in the middle of nowhere. It's really nice. It's not far from Ironforge. So congratulations, and thank you so much for watching. And as always, remember, it's never too latte.